I'm Tiffany Smith from DC All Access, and I was so excited when they asked me to be a part of the Wonder Woman 75th panel. So first up, I just want to say thank you guys all so much for coming out for this awesome panel today. You guys having a good Comic-Con so far? I'm just going to talk about the elephant in the room for a second. How many of you guys watched the trailer already? Yes! So we have got an awesome celebration here for you guys. It's been 75 years of awesome comics, awesome pop culture references to the Amazonian princess. I grew up loving her. I know that a lot of you guys out here have as well. So I'm gonna welcome some of our great panelists up here who are gonna help us celebrate and really delve into what Wonder Woman is to all of us. First up, I want to bring up the renowned artist from Australia. She is working on the DC flagship Wonder Woman comic right now, part of the three-person team. Please welcome Nicola Scott. What's so awesome, too, is when you come on to a comic like this, I'm sure there was a little pressure to be like, how's everyone going to react? But this comic, thanks to all of you guys, has already gone back to press multiple times. So thank you guys all so much for that. Next up, we have got the world-famous artist and the co-publisher of DC Entertainment, Mr. Jim Lee. And this is a guy who knows a little bit about Wonder Woman, obviously. He's worked on her with the Justice League and has had a hand in some of the reincarnations of her and maybe put some pants on her at one point. Come on, a girl likes to change up her wardrobe, even Wonder Woman. All right, we've got a couple other panelists that will be joining us in just a little bit, but while we've got two of the heavy hitters in the comic book world here, I want to kind of jump into the history of Wonder Woman because we started this off saying that it's the 75th anniversary. So can both of you kind of just talk a little bit about the 1941 introduction of Wonder Woman from William Martson?
From your own personal history.
From when you were alive then?
We're fighting the Axis powers. Yeah, look, she was a character that was created during World War II. And what's interesting about her is that, as the story goes, Max Gaines, who was the publisher of what was then DC Comics, had approached William Moulton Marston about creating a superhero. I guess he had read some article where he was talking about his educational theories. And so he came up with a hero that represented hope and peace. And I think it was at the urging of his wife, as the story goes, that they decided to make it a woman. And the character very much reflects their own sort of political political beliefs about gender equality. They were very involved in the early suffragette movement. And so if you look at her powers, you look at her costume, it was very much of that time and era. So obviously the white stars on the blue trunks, the American eagle on the chest, they were all very much inspired by the symbolism of the time, the era, the fact that we were in this world war. But she grew to become something much bigger than that. And so over the decades, particularly in the 70s, with the emergence of feminism, she really became an icon for feminism and has really become, I think, the most well-known, iconic superhero in the world in many ways. So it's awesome to be able to celebrate her 75th anniversary, and we thank you guys for all your love and support for the character.
How does it feel for you too, Nicola, coming in, hearing all of that after 75 years and saying, this is a character that I'm going to take on and really create the look that people are going to embrace?
Oh, look, it's an incredible privilege to sort of participate in shepherding a character that's been around for generations, that has meant so much to so many people at various decades throughout her history. You know, she's by her nature, she's quite a sort of political figure. You know, she was created just before America's entry into World War II, and she kind of really galvanized that push. She was like a symbol of rallying the nation to go forth and, you know, conquer evil. And the fact that it was a woman, that she was dressed in the American flag, and she was like, let's go to war to create peace for the rest of the world. That's an incredibly bold statement. And so it's no wonder she made such an incredible impact when she first arrived. And that impact kind of sort of found its second wave with the second wave of feminism in the 70s. And so, she sort of was this key figure that the feminist movement was looking for a cultural icon. And, Gloria Steinem was like, we should have Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Get her in the costume, get her with her powers. And, her being on the cover of Ms. Magazine in the 70s was huge.
Yep.
And I feel like, we're sort of coasting through third wave feminism now, and it can be quite divisive, but she's the most inclusive character in, not only in comics, she's absolutely, I think, the most inclusive superhero.
In pop culture in general.
Pop culture in general.
And I think that she kind of just bleeds into everything. Like I said, pop culture, everyone knows who Wonder Woman is. Different incarnations of her. And right now, I want to welcome 2 more panelists to the stage who are bringing in a new incarnation of Wonder Woman. First up is the acclaimed director of the highly anticipated Wonder Woman film that comes out this June. Please give a massive welcome for Patty Jenkins.
Lovely to meet you.
Oh, thank you.
And Patty, when we came in, I said to everyone, how many of you guys have already seen the trailer? All of the buzz coming out of Hall H is so amazing.
Good.
And I know that you're actually editing right now. So how is that for you?
It's hilarious and awesome. But awesome because, it's like my relationship with this movie started in the biggest way, which is like, I love Wonder Woman. There are other people in the world that love Wonder Woman. And then it narrows down to a place where you're sitting by yourself in an editing room, like, God, I love Wonder Woman. And I'm sure this is you guys too.
Oh, yeah.
And then
It's creepy
we're
if
kind
I
of
say
like,
that, though.
And then every once in a while, I'll walk out of the editing room late at night or something, and I'll be like, it's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like gets so tiny in this moment. So to come back, like it's such a wonderful time actually to reconnect with the fans and be like, oh my God, you guys, Wonder Woman, I love her too,
Yeah, well, and
great. Yeah.
I'm like, you get to sit in the room and edit the film that's going to reintroduce, and everyone's going to see Wonder Woman in a new way. For me, I sit in my room and I read a comic, and I'm like, God, I love Wonder Woman. I know all of you guys do the same thing too. All right, and speaking of our love for Wonder Woman, I know you guys are going to love this next panelist that we've got joining us. Please help me welcome Gal Gadot, who is Wonder Woman from the DC universe, and she is in the first ever female-led superhero film. Woo! What I love so much about all of the actors within the DC world is that they want to be here with all of you guys. Gal flew in from London, where she's working on Justice League right now. Love it so much.
I'm super jet lagged, but I have such a great adrenaline rush, so I'm so happy to be here with you guys. Thank you for coming.
What is that feeling like for you, where you're like, I'm working on Justice League, I'm here, I'm celebrating the 75th anniversary of Wonder Woman, and our movie's coming out next June?
It's insane. It's bigger than life. It's real. So yes, we're shooting. Hi. We're shooting the Justice League movie right now in London, like you said, and it's a great fun. I mean, it's such a joy continuing, the Wonder Woman's journey, and I really enjoy working as part of a team as well. Zach is working day to night to make the best movie ever, and working with the cast is just hilarious. It's crazy. With Ben and Henry and Jason and Ezra and Ray and Amy. There's so many personalities, and everyone brings their own, color, their own flavor, and it's just awesome. It's a blast.
I love it. Well, I'm super excited. I know everyone in here is as well, to see the new iteration of Wonder Woman. And she's been through so many of those along the way. Jim and Nicola, can you guys kind of talk about a little bit of the high points throughout the comic book history of Wonder Woman, some of her changes?
Sure. Look, like we talked about before, she was really created during World War II, But then she really kind of evolved and changed. And so in the 60s, she actually lost her powers. She actually was in a white leotard. And that was just because at the time, there was a show called The Avengers with Emmett Peele that was really popular. So that was kind of influencing things. The superheroes really reflected the eras that they were being published in. And so every decade, the characters really changed in terms of personality and tonality a little bit. But then in the 80s, it was a run by George Perez, which was... Yeah. And that was really my entry into the character, and he just did stuff with the Greek mythology. He really elevated that whole aspect of that character. It was very kind of Game of Thrones-like before. There was obviously Game of Thrones, and there was these crazy M.C. Escher-type drawings where he kind of depicted what Olympus and the home of the gods looked like, and it had a really profound effect on me because it really showed you how almost alien her world was because she's so different. I mean, you have Batman, who's a man, and you have Superman, and then you have Wonder Woman, who's a demigod, and it shows really how, kind of where she is in the hierarchy of the powers in the DC universe and how unique and special she is. And then there was John Byrne, who did a really cool run, and then the New 52 is actually one of my favorite runs. Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chang, if you guys, really cool. And I like that just because, again, they looked at the mythology and they really kind of made the gods more like gods amongst us, and they were people that were kind of in our society, manipulating things behind the scenes. And at the end of the day, they kind of really did a different take on the character without necessarily, well, they changed things to her aspect. And I think that's one of the interesting things that they're doing in their book is they're taking the really difficult challenge of taking all these disparate stories and origins really, and I think weaving them into one, right?
In the current story situation with Rebirth, where we're coming out twice a month, Greg Rucka had this great pitch of doing two stories that are separated by 10 years that vaguely relate to each other. In the contemporary story that he's doing with Liam Sharp, who's sitting just down here.
Yeah, Liam. Liam, you want to stand up?
Go, Liam. It's a story that's called The Lies, and it's called The Lies for a reason, because Diana is as an avatar for truth, you know, not only because she seeks it, but because she literally wields the power to bring the core truth to light. And she's going through a process, a moment in her life where she's not convinced by her own truth, that there is too many conflicting memories. And so it's making for sort of a really interesting long-term story where essentially it's kind of peeling back all of these different versions of Wonder Woman to find the core of who she is.
Yeah.
And the story that we're doing is like a pretty light and bright origin story that's a little all ages appropriate. We hope there are some dark things coming up. But again, it's sort of, it's a sort of modern telling, bringing Steve Trevor back into the fold because he's a support character that isn't always given, you know, the best shot at life. You know, he doesn't quite get the same chances that Lois Lane has had.
Yeah.
So it's really fantastic that, you know, he's the love interest again in the movie. We're making him the love interest again in the comics because he's a great guy. You know, he's got to be great if he's going to score her, right?
Yeah.
Right. And there's a cool scene where she actually puts a lasso on herself and asks herself questions because she's trying to seek
what is going on with my memories.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's some really interesting stuff yet to come.
Yeah.
Well, and I love so much that there is that kind of symbiotic relationship, whether it was purposeful or not, things coming up with the character being more focused on in your book and then in the film as well. But I think that everyone has an iconic moment of when they first really connected with Wonder Woman. And I would love to hear some of yours. Mine, I think, was seeing my mom dress up as Wonder Woman. She was a teacher and she went to school in like the Linda Carter full-on costume. And I was like, my mom is the coolest person ever. But Patty, what was your first memory of Wonder Woman?
You know, I think it's funny. It's so hard because it was such a big period of time that it was having such a huge influence. But the most definitive moment that comes to my mind is the show being on.
Yeah.
Us all being obsessed with the show.
Yeah.
I was. And then everybody on the playground saying who they were going to be.
Yep.
and saying, I want to be Wonder Woman, you know, whereas that hadn't, I don't know what it was that changed because, you know, I was young and everything, but I do remember just the fact that there was this angle, and it was an angle, and it's something I think about all the time making the movie. She was everything. I wasn't becoming one of the boys.
Yep.
You know, I was like, I can imagine that I'm beautiful and, you know, all the things that she was on the show, and like it was every fantasy come true, but I could be a part of the action and doing something. And so that's my memory, is like the knowing that you could be Wonder Woman, you know, hitting it.
You
that
are.
moment.
Yeah. Saying, I do know.
That's what I love too, though, because it's not just for the women, because I see some guys out there with Wonder Woman shirts on. So even the men can be Wonder Woman if they want to be, which I love so much. Nicola, what was your first memory?
Oh, my first memory of Wonder Woman is so strong because she was the very first superhero I ever saw. It was, again, the TV show. I was 4. I've come from a big girl family for generations, and there's 6 girls sitting on the sofa, and we're watching this TV show, and I'm 4, and my sisters and my cousins are, 10 and over. And Wonder Woman comes on, and the 5 of them are all like, we're out. And I was like, what's this? It was my new religion. I learned how to use the TV guide because of Wonder Woman, because it was like, it's that channel, it's this time, it's, what does that say, Dad? And he said, Wonder Woman? And I'm like, Wonder Woman. And she has kind of signposted my life.
Yeah.
She's the reason why I draw comic books, because I was trying to work out how I could make a living out of drawing, and not bore myself stupid. And I was thinking if I could just draw, if I had to draw the same thing all day, every day, because that's what a job is. What do I want to draw? God, I wish I could just draw Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And as soon as that occurred to me, I was like, oh my God, that's a job. That's a job that somebody has somewhere in the world. I want that job. I'm going to draw comic books. Apropos of never having read a comic book before. So, she brought me into what is now my career. She's helped me meet my people. I auditioned to play Wonder Woman once upon a time. I did.
Well,
In the
you
90s,
could
I was
totally
a lot younger.
ask Gal for some tips on the audition process.
I did not get the part. What did I
A long process.
You too?
Jim too. So, Gal, for you, you grew up in Israel. Was Wonder Woman that steeped in your youth growing up?
Yeah. She was a big deal. She was a household name, just alongside Batman and Superman. Ever since I remember myself, I remember always, knowing that she's the most powerful female superhero, the ultimate hero. Yeah, someone introduced me to this new concept, the Shiro one. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
There's a hero, and there's a Shiro. So she's the ultimate hero.
Oh, that's going to be a hashtag that comes out of this panel for sure. And just hearing from all of you guys, obviously there are all different iconic moments that really connected you to Wonder Woman. And throughout pop culture and history, there have been so many. Obviously, a lot of people have mentioned the 1970s show with Linda Carter. I think there's a lot of fans in here. Which, you guys, I can't say enough how excited I am that she just got cast on Supergirl, so she's staying in the DC world, so we're going to be seeing even more of her. Woohoo! And I mentioned the story about my mom, that being my reference, but then my older sister used to run around in Wonder Woman underoos just doing I'm Wonder Woman everywhere, and I was like, I want to be just like her. So that was another moment for me, and then watching the animated series Super Friends, and you mentioned this earlier, but the Ms. Magazine cover where she got to be on the cover and she had her powers back. That was an iconic moment, so I think that a lot of people look to that and say, that was the moment that Wonder Woman really, really came back, and I love that so much. And then obviously, very recently, you guys, we've got the DC animated films, the upcoming animated series, Justice League Action. Do we have some fans excited for that one in here? Woo! And this image that I love so much, the next one coming up, is Wonder Woman in Injustice, and this is an image from Injustice 2. She looks so fierce. I love all that armor on there. And of course, for all of you guys out there, we've got DC superhero girls with Wonder Woman leading the pack there as well. And we've talked about it a little bit on this panel, and last but not least, seeing Wonder Woman in the massive film that I know we've got fans of in here, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. I love all of the images that we see of her up there, just getting to see the different perspectives. I remember when that first picture came out of Gal in the costume, and I was like, oh my God, like this is the coolest Wonder Woman I have ever seen. And of course it was like, how can I make a costume to look just like her? So Gal, tell us about the moment that you found out, yes, you are going to be Wonder Woman.
I had to wait for a very long 6 weeks before I got the call. And I was actually traveling to Los Angeles for work. And the moment we landed in Los Angeles, I opened my phone, still sitting on the plane, and I saw so many missed calls from my agents. So I just called them, and I completely forgot about the Wonder Woman thing. Because at the beginning, I was super excited. I was waiting when you check your phone, every second. I was obsessed, and then I was like, enough. It's not mine. They're lost, okay? Moving on, moving forward. And then I got to Los Angeles, sitting on the airplane, saw so many calls, so I called them, and then they got everyone on the line, like 9 people on the line, and they said, well, Gal, you're Wonder Woman. And then I started screaming. By the way, people were still sitting in the airplane, okay? And I'm like, oh, and then they said, but you can't say a word to anyone.
Right.
Too late now.
You can't say anything to yourself. They need to announce it.
Right.
I was like,
You're like, I already did to this entire plane, I'm sorry.
exactly. What do you do? But it was worth the wait, for sure. It was the best thing ever. And the rest is history.
I love that story so much. So good. And Patty, for you, how did you get involved with this project? Was it something that you were pursuing, or did it kind of just fall into your lap? How did it happen?
It's an unbelievably long story, and that turns out wonderfully that I'm here. But it's so, I don't want to be redundant for anybody that heard me tell this in Hall H, but the truth is when I was a kid, there was Wonder Woman, and then when I saw Superman 1, it changed my life in the fact that I was like, oh my God, I cried. Then I thought I was a hero. Then when the boy catches the train, and then when he's a superhero, and then I laughed, and I went on this journey that made me experience like I am a superhero. That's what I am. And so always, that was a definitive moment. Didn't even know I wanted to be a filmmaker yet. Then when I was in college, I had gone to school for painting, and all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, I love music. And so it was painting, music, story, drama. When it all came together, I started making small movies by myself and in New York, and people were like, oh, you'll be like a Woody Allen filmmaker. And I was like, no, I wanna like,
superheroes.
I wanna like, one day I wanna make something, and it was just this movie, is what I was imagining. Even though I didn't know it, I was like, I want to make people feel like movies have made me feel.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's big, I don't know if it's small, I don't know what it is, but I want to do that one day. Wonder Woman is my favorite superhero. I can't believe, I love an origin story. Nobody had done it. And so when I made Monster, and I, go out meeting people, the first meeting I had with Warner Brothers, thank you. The first meeting that I had with Warner Brothers, I walked in, they were like, great, what do you want to do? I want to do Wonder Woman. And it's funny because when I walk around Warner Brothers now, I'm always like, There's like 70 people that I met with over a 10-year span, and every time, and it just wasn't the right moment. It wasn't the right moment, and also, I learned more and more about superhero movies, and it became more and more clear to me you really want to be partners wanting to do the same thing. I had an awesome time talking to Marvel about Thor, but we couldn't get it to sync up. So I knew, and I was like, listen, maybe we'll get it to sync up, maybe we won't, but this is my dream movie, and maybe we will. So when the moment came, I was like, I cannot believe that this moment has come. And truly, I feel so honored to be able to do it, but it's like, it's something, it's like a life dream. It's something I've always wanted to aspire to make, something like this.
Well, and I will say, I posted this on Instagram today, but I was lucky enough to secretly visit the set, and seeing both of you guys work was so incredible. Like the fierce.
I couldn't ask for a better partner. I couldn't. We were shooting this movie for 6 months, 6 days a week. Every week.
And she's in
that's pretty demanding,
that's no
okay?
joke. In the freezing cold.
In the freezing cold, wearing not much, but that's okay. But what I'm trying to say is I love her. Like, I wish I could bring you all back in time to set so you could experience what we've been through. It's been such a special, unique experience. We were working 6 days a week, and then I said, do you have plans for the weekend? Should we do something? We literally left set. Everyone, by the way, it's not just the cast that we really bonded. It was everyone, the crew and the cast. Everyone cared, and I've never experienced anything like on such a huge high level of people that really care for what they do, and everyone are there, and the set is super quiet, and no one, like, everyone had this, I don't know how to say, it was just incredible.
It was
and we kept on laughing, like, where's the catch?
How is this
When are we gonna fight? When are we gonna,
and not to turn around that story, it was incredibly shocking how special it was and how intimate, and honestly it's like everything we're here talking about. I think the reason is because we really cared. We're like, we want her to be, she's about love, she's about forgiveness, she's about goodness, and she's strong, and she's fierce. And so interestingly, you're doing such a big movie, but we're all connected on this deep plane, and not just to send it back, but the key reason that everybody on that crew was the way that they were, and they said it, and we all said it at the end of the day, is like, you guys, I can't wait for you to know Gal Gadot even more, because she is so incredible. I mean, I'm so picky about casting. It's my dream to do this movie and to do Wonder Woman. But I never could have imagined that someone so really like Wonder Woman would show up to be my partner, who every day, but for real, who every day was saying, is this the right thing to do? I'll do it. And we're saying, it's okay, Gal, it's like 40 below. I bought, no joke, the Everest climbing
hypothermia,
snowsuit.
let's just say.
It was so cold that I was like, what do they wear to climb Everest? I'm wearing it. You guys will see press shots of me. It's ridiculous, right? But the funniest part is that I'm standing in that suit next to her in the Wonder Woman costume. And I'm like, hey, Gal. Like, every day, Gal was like, it's okay, it's okay. And person after person on our crew would come up to me and be like, wow, this could have been such a different experience, but we all want to do it for Gal because we see what she's doing and we see how hard she's fighting. Never complained once, always smiling, always laughing, even starts raining. I would get frustrated. Gal would be like, it's okay, Patty, man, we're going to turn it around. We're going to turn it around. We can do this. We can do it. Come on. Let's just do it. Let's make it great. So honestly, I mean, the trickle down, she is Wonder Woman. The trickle down started with you.
Right.
Really
I
did.
would like to know.
I can't wait, you guys. I mean, like, who can play these heroes? I'm so excited for you to get to know this Wonder Woman so much more.
So as you can see, we had lots of trouble.
You guys really don't like each other at all. It's not coming across at all. And
Doesn't that speak volumes about the character?
totally.
He is
It's
the most inclusive character.
Yeah,
And the fact that that just being there and being with you kind of galvanized a sisterhood and a brotherhood amongst everybody working on the project.
Well, and you guys have mentioned that you can't wait for people to get to know Wonder Woman a little bit better. So I know that there was a lot of buzz coming out of Hall H because you showed a little trailer there today. So I'm just curious, Patty, if there's any chance we could maybe...
I think it's probably the right thing to do. It's Wonder Woman.
What do you guys think?
We'd love to.
All right,
Let's play it
okay.
loud.
Let's check out the trailer for Wonder Woman. Oh my gosh. So that's probably the 5th time I've watched it today. And every time I can't wipe the smile off my face. I'm so excited for it. I know just from that reaction in here that you guys all feel the same way. Oh my God, I could not be more excited for this movie.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're gonna get to see a little bit of that origin. Can you guys talk a little bit about what we're gonna get in this film?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
You guys are like, we're still so giddy from watching the trailer again too.
Yes, it's a story of a girl becoming a woman. Diana grew up in Themyscira, where she was very safe and protected. and she thought she knew everything there was to know about the world. And when she left the mascara to go to the world of men, she realizes that there's so much more to learn, and there's so much she doesn't understand. Right?
I mean, I think it's the greatest thing about this is like the great origin stories, it has the classic coming of age arc, which is you start with somebody who wants to save the world and do the right thing. And the world ends up being such an amazing opportunity that she's, we blended the kind of a lot of the different origins together. So the original and, greatly the George Perez, all of the big ones really. But so it ends up being that, she doesn't realize that she has something to do with the gods. And so you're looking at a god coming into mankind. And what an incredible opportunity to have a god seem like she's a god seeing what mankind is capable of. What an incredible story arc that creates, the potential for, which is like you come in wanting to save the world and wanting to be great, but what are the things that you do along the way, and how do you end up learning to be a loving, powerful hero? The power comes easy. How do you do all the other things? It's like such a great opportunity to get to tell that kind of story.
Well, and I think too, obviously, the women and the men have said that seeing a character like this, it really influenced me growing up. And I know for those of you on the panel with daughters, seeing this character come to life again, what was important for you, and how do you feel getting to have this version really influence how your daughter views Wonder Woman? And Jim did as well, if you want to jump in on that.
Sure. I have 6 daughters, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
True statement.
So
it's true.
Yeah, so I'm going to be single-handedly driving the consumer products part of this deal here. They go from 4 to 23. So, it's awesome. For Halloween, we dressed up our 4-year-old back then in the costume, and it's just great to see her in that, and the sense of empowerment, and just the fact that you could tell that her eyes lit up and she was kind of running around pretending to fly. And you see how powerful and iconic that costume is, and how transformative it is. And at the end of the day, I think it's just fantastic that we're going to have Wonder Woman really just dominating pop culture this year and next year, and really the role model she's going to serve, not just within this movie, but we have something called DC Superhero Girls, and Wonder Woman is a big part of that, and that's for younger kids, about 6 to 12. So really, really influential across all sorts of age groups.
And Gal, how about for you?
Oh, wow, my daughter loves Wonder Woman, and she has a thing for Batman as well. I said it many times before, but I think that it's so important for girls and for boys as well to have a strong, active, role model, a superhero. There's not many female superheroes that we are exposed to. And the fact that we have Wonder Woman coming back big time now is just so important, and more. And the story that she serves, her journey and who she is, that's what's so inspiring about her. It's not about being a woman or being a man, or it's a person's story that everyone can relate to. And
I have something to add to that, which is the reason, which segues right into it, which is the thing that I cared about the very most is I'd been talking about doing female superhero, films, since I got my foot in the door, and even before that. And there was a period of time where people were so afraid to do Wonder Woman in particular, but to do any of them, and there was an apologist attitude of, well, how do we make her super hard and impressive? And I kept feeling about any of the big female characters, I was like, until we can make them universal, until you can make any kind of person universal, then you're not really making a movie about them. Why do only white men get to be universal and everybody else has to be some smaller story? And I said, we need, which means, interestingly, I feel like my job was the opposite of what people think. She is fierce. I'm not worried about that. My job felt like, and she's also vulnerable, falls in love, loving. She's the full deal.
Yeah.
Which is what we've always done to Superman, which is what we've always done to everybody else. So that was the thing that I cared the most about, is this is a universal story. Forget I care very much that it's a woman, but also it is you. Whoever you are, it's you. Exactly. It's you who wants to be a hero, who's not sure, who grows up, and who becomes someone who chooses to be a hero. And so that was the thing that I cared about the very most, of like, this is everybody's movie, you know?
Yeah.
It's I hope, you know, that's what we're aiming for.
And just to kind of expand on that, sort of every character, especially ones that have been around for as long as Wonder Woman, you know, the rest of the DC Pantheon as well, they go through peaks and troughs. And it feels like for the first time in a really long time, the general cultural awareness of Wonder Woman is really strong again. And the hunger for a great, iconic female character is there again. And I'm so glad that it's Wonder Woman coming out first, because it really should be. Right. It should be Wonder Woman first.
Well, and I think
I feel it from interviews, I feel it from, you know, sort of non-comic fans. Their awareness of Wonder Woman is back in such a strong way, and they're so ready to participate in elevating her again.
Well, and I think that the hunger for that obviously is shown through the Wonder Woman comics that are out now, which for all of you guys out there who aren't reading stuff, there's some great stuff that you can be reading, or if you are, yay. Jim, can you jump into some of the stuff that's out now that people could check out?
Right, aside from Wonder Woman that...
we'll get into that too.
Nicola, there's 2 graphic novels I would recommend for people that if you're really curious about what we're doing publishing side. Right, so it's Wonder Woman Earth 1 by Grant Morrison, and if you know his work, he's a guy that basically reads everything. So he read everything probably back to 1941 and kind of figures out a way to tie it all together in one really kind of very clever, imaginative, creative narrative. And as you can see, there's chains, there's all sorts of imagery that really speaks to the idiosyncratic early origins of the character and the early issues of that character. And then to the right, you see Wonder Woman, The True Amazon by Joe Thompson. This comes out, I believe, September 28th. And it is a story, it's a very poignant, touching story of her life on the island right before she leaves the island. And it really just a mother-daughter story, and it's all ages. It's a fantastic story, beautiful watercolors. Highly recommend that as well.
Yay. And let's get into a little bit of the Wonder Woman Rebirth comic. What can you tell everybody about that one? And obviously, you're part of a 3-person team on this one, too. So what is that like working with that guy over there?
Right. Well, we're incredibly lucky. Liam and I only met 2 days ago, but we've been communicating nonstop.
Are you serious?
Yeah, for real. But it feels
I love that in the comic book world.
Family.
So cool.
Like, Greg and I have known each other for a long time, and we've been wanting to work on a Wonder Woman project for years. He tried to get me on his original run 13 years ago. And he's my favorite writer of the character. He kind of really understands how complex and interesting she is, just as is. You know, he doesn't ever try to change her, he just wants to elevate her. And so the fabulous story that we're doing at that Greg has planned at the moment, with Liam's story that's contemporary, dealing with, you know, her confusion over her context at the moment, is being sort of reflected in the U1 story that Greg Rucker and I are doing, where we're showing her coming-of-age story, like in the film, which is a much more innocent story, and we're showing that this part is real, and it's only 6 issues long. And in between the end of ours and the beginning of Liam and Greg's story is 10 years, where everything's got muddy. So everything you see in the year 1 story, that happened.
Well, and I think that for all of you guys on this panel, you can speak to this, but what is that feeling like when you bring a character like Wonder Woman to life, whether it's in a comic book or on the screen or embodying that character, and the reaction is so positive? Because for Rebirth, the Wonder Woman comic, it's already gone back to press multiple times, like I said earlier, which is awesome, which means people are loving it. How does that feel for you guys?
It's a ridiculous honor for all 3 of us. And as I was just saying before, you know, we're being able to participate in Wonder Woman's sort of 75-year comic legacy, but we're being able to do it at a time when the film is about to come out. She had that amazing entrance with the most amazing music ever in her Superman movie.
Hans Zimmer.
That there's so much Wonder Woman content, and people are sort of saying, thank you for bringing Wonder Woman back. And it's like, she didn't go anywhere. It's just people stopped paying attention, or, you know, they weren't quite seeing the Wonder Woman that they think of in the books.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're trying to bring her back to her core, and to be able to do that at this time is the most ridiculous honor. You know, the pressure is to just not screw it up.
It's the same kind of feeling.
Amen. It was just like, but that's actually such a fun challenge to believe in something so fully.
Yeah.
That's something I don't take lightly. That every day I showed up on this movie, you know, Gal and I mean, all the time would sit and be like, what is the best version we could do of this? What's the most like respectful, awesome, like what a cool thing to strive to. Yeah. And not everybody gets that opportunity. But yeah, I mean, I felt very much that way. And then, you know, you ask bringing Wonder Woman. I mean, this is, we haven't brought the movie out yet, but even watching everyone watch this is unbelievable. Yep. It's an unbelievable experience.
And many times it felt like I'm not a big spiritual person, but many times it felt like we got signs from the universe, swear to God.
Yeah.
That seriously,
That this
You're on the right path.
wanted to be made. Yeah.
no, it was. I'll tell you some other time. But it felt like we were just a vessel for a greater story that everyone need to be that we need to share it with everyone. It wasn't about me being an actress. It wasn't about Patty being a director. It's just like we were treating this story in such a holy almost way, with so much respect, that it felt like now is the time.
Yeah.
Like
We totally felt that. Many times we were like, I feel like, because things
the
would
last
go well.
day we shot
and
the
would
movie
get,
was the birthday
Yep.
of the creator. Like we had so many.
But we would have those moments where we were like, why is this going well? And we would say, I think because it's not about you and it's not about me, so don't be afraid to say, like, this movie wants to happen right now.
Yeah.
We need to give it everything we have and stand back and help and be of service. In any way we can be of service, just be there and ready, like the catcher's mitt. Like, what do you need me to do, you know?
Yeah.
It feels like an incredibly magical time.
Yeah,
It totally does.
It really does.
And what's so great is I think there's so many different aspects and everyone is on board to celebrate the 75th anniversary. So before we wrap it up, I've got a couple of cool things to share with you guys. Just this week at Comic-Con, they announced that the U.S. Post Office is going to release Wonder Woman's 75th commemorative stamps that are coming out in October. So make sure you guys mark your calendar for that. Secondly, I talked about, you know, Gal flying in on a jet. Well, there is actually the invisible jet over on 6th and in the Gaslamp District. So if you want to go check that out, take a picture of it. There's also some incredible female, super talented artists doing work down there that you can check out as well. And you guys make sure you stop by the DC booth because we saw that image of Gal in the costume. You can actually go see it in the booth. Linda Carter's costume is down there. They've got some Suicide Squad stuff as well. We had so much fun being over there, having them actually do their signing a little bit earlier today. The fans were super, super excited. And you guys, we're not going to let you walk away without anything today because you guys have been such a great audience. But first up, Gal and Patty brought a little something for you guys. You all saw that awesome image, the new poster for the Wonder Woman film, right?
Yeah.
So we have got 5 of those to give away to some awesome Wonder Woman cosplayers who are in the audience. So if you were chosen, make your way up here to get your poster. Dude! I love that we've got the Bombshells Wonder Woman. We've got the 2 gentlemen totally rocking out the Wonder Woman look as well. Wonder Dudes. I love it so much. You guys look great. Woo! Give them a round of applause, you guys. Woo! And finally, you guys, I know the 5 of them are getting posters, but you're not walking away empty-handed either because we've got a very special Rebirth Wonder Woman comic #1 that is commemorative of the 75th anniversary for each one of you that is here today. You cannot get it anywhere else, so enjoy that, you guys. I want to say a huge thank you to all of our panelists that were up here today helping us to celebrate the 75th and giving their perspective on Wonder Woman. You guys, give them a round of applause. It's been an amazing 75 years for Wonder Woman, the Amazonian princess, and she's inspired so many people, and here is to 75 more years and beyond. Thank you guys so much. Woo! Thank you to Gal Gadot, Patty Jenkins, Jim Lee, and Nicola Scott.